What's going on, everybody? And my name is Tom. I want to welcome you to another episode of 3 Wide here on YouTube. All we do is NASCAR talk. It's a lot of fun. I have some great conversations with you guys. So I want to thank each and every one of you for watching the videos, liking the videos, and subscribing. So I also want to give a little bit of a shout out to Frankie from Facebook. Ended up buying the Chase Elliott Rookie of the Year car from me. Frankie, you actually lucked out. I just realized what this car is actually worth versus what I sold it to you, including shipping, and I feel very upset right now with myself. Not with you, with myself. But anyway, so thanks, guys. Thanks, Frankie. I just want to give him a little shout out. So, great day. It was race day. We got racing at Atlanta this afternoon. Atlanta's not really known for its nail-biting finishes or its edgier seat action. It never has been. It kind of reinforces, and today's race kind of reinforced that, as well as reinforcing the kind of notion that maybe NASCAR should start toning down the mileage of some of these races. For a very, very long time, I was opposed to that, but I'm getting slightly more open to the idea. But anyways, so we had some great storylines out of this race nonetheless. Some great racing all through the pack. Nothing that kept... I'll be blatantly honest, I keep the races on from lap 1 till the end of till that checkered flag flies. But it didn't necessarily keep my attention the whole time, which I typically do so that I can do what I usually do, and that is write down the notes for you guys so I can do the video. So here's everything you need to know about the race. Kurt Busch, before the whole thing went green, Kurt Busch kept failing the inspections, ended up having to go to the back of the pack, ended up having to do a pass-through penalty, ended up a lap down too. But he had that car so dialed in, he got that lap down real quick. Plus, not to mention cautions. Getting that lucky dog, getting that free pass. Chase Elliott got the pole with the luck of the draw. Kind of brings into question, does NASCAR really need to keep doing qualifying? Does NASCAR really need to keep doing all the practice that they do? Because we've had some fantastic races. We've had some really good racing since the return of NASCAR. NASCAR's back. Hashtag NASCAR's back. I'm not a hashtag guy. I was just putting that out there. Anyways, so Elliott got the pole off the back. Logano chasing him into turn 1. Managed to keep the lead out until the competition caution flew. He ended up falling back. Logano took the lead off that restart. We had the 24 car end up getting into the wall, kind of really killed his day. And there was no caution for that. He did not throw crap all over the track. He did a very admirable job of getting that car, keeping it straightened out, keeping it from taking out other cars, getting into pit road. So I give him a lot of credit for it. Elliott, just after that, he just never was, he was a non-factor the whole rest of the race, which was actually surprising considering the performance of Chase Elliott so far since NASCAR has been back. So off the next caution, Truex just ended up going right by Kevin Harvick, which was really impressive because typically at Atlanta, you kind of figure it would be the flip-flop, be the opposite there. John Hunter Nemechek ended up going around. That's why we got the caution. But racing there, Truex ended up winning stage 1. Clint Bowyer, very good pit stop. On point pit stop, got him the lead. And instead of taking the lead and losing it, he actually led an entire pit cycle until his tires started. You could tell he was starting to feel something. I think that car really potentially could have won that race. If not necessarily won that race, definitely a top 5, top 10 finish had it not been for that tire coming out. They just couldn't fix that problem all race long. Caution out in stage 2 with 8 laps to go. Michael McDowell went around. Looks like he had a little help from his teammate too with John Hunter Nemechek. On the restart, Truex just off. Ended up winning stage 2. Kind of reminiscent of having Cole Pearn as his crew chief. He swept both stages. He hasn't won a stage yet this year. and he's never won a stage at Atlanta. Did it twice today, which is really cool. We got Kevin Harvick ended up just pulling out from third, going around everybody to take the lead, going into the third and final stage. And that was kind of the end of that for everybody. Not a lot of caution flags today. Not a lot of beating and banging, a little bit throughout the pack, but not a lot. And there really was not a ton of racing for the lead. And I think that's why a lot of people always say they need to redo Atlanta. They need to redo Atlanta. They need to redo Atlanta. I don't think so. I think it has its own charm, being the most abrasive track on the circuit. And with that being said, Clint Bowyer goes from 7th. Unfortunately, and I'm a huge Clint Bowyer fan. I love Clint Bowyer. I love his personality. I love what he brings to NASCAR. Went from 7th, which was a great finish. Would have been a great finish for him, especially this last couple seasons. Continues good, kind of a good, little bit of a good resurgence, but ended up with 14 to go, going from 7th into pit. And again, you could just see the tire starting to come undone. The first tire, when back in stage 2, it looked like it was kind of cracking right down the middle, all the way around. This one, it looked like little chunks were starting to come out. Not a good thing to happen at all, unfortunately for Clint Bowyer. But anyways, Kevin Harvick does go on to dominate the race, wins his race. Only his third at Atlanta. If you look at how many laps he's led at Atlanta, you'd think he'd won 5. And I'm not saying only his third, like, oh, that's not a big feat. That's a good feat to accomplish. But all the laps he's led, all the dominating he's had over the years, you really would think he'd have won more. But anyways, so Kevin Harvick first, Kyle Busch second, Truex Jr. third, Ryan Blaney fourth. Really good outing for Ryan Blaney. He was very quiet all race long, but very, very consistent. Remained up front the whole time. Very, very good for Ryan Blaney. Denny Hamlin fifth. Kurt Busch ended up coming back from all that crap that he had to go through at the beginning of the race. Ended up coming back 6th place finish, another top 10. Really silent season for Kurt Busch, but very, very consistent. Very, very on-point season for Kurt Busch. Jimmy Johnson 7th, Chase Elliott 8th, Brad Keselowski 9th, and Joey Logano topped off your top 10. Honorable mentions, and these are the guys that I'm fairly impressed with. You got Austin Dillon 11th, potentially a top 10 car. Didn't get the top 10, but potentially a top 10 car. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 13th. He's continuing with his really, really good season this year. If it wasn't for a couple wrecks, I think we could be talking about some much higher standings for Stenhouse. I think he might even break away and get you a surprise win this year too. Clint Bowyer, after his issue, ended up finishing 20th. Bubba Wallace, who we unfortunately saw a little bit of a medical, probably a dehydration thing at the end of the race. Fox was trying to interview him. And he kind of you could tell he was starting to lose a little bit of kind of leaning forward, like he was going to pass out or did pass out. You saw his crew member grab him real quick. So spot on for the pit crew, spot on for the medical team to get him to the infield care center. He was cleared and released pretty quickly, but it was more than likely dehydration. So that's never good to see. I don't care if you're a Bubba fan, you love him, you hate him, you think he sucks, you think he's the greatest in the world. It's never good to see. Just like Jimmy Johnson a couple years ago as well. I've never been a big Jimmy Johnson fan, but you never like to see it. And another kind of a shout out, Tyler Reddick was the highest finishing rookie in 16th. Not quite as good as some of his other outings have been this year, but 16th is nothing to frown on, especially since RCR was usually not getting those kind of finishes. But it's great to see him and Austin Dillon, so both RCR teams going out there and really performing. I love seeing it. So my takeaway on this race was, as I kind of said ahead of time, not a super exciting race. I don't think it needs to be a 500-mile race. I think chopping it to 400 would be great. Don't kill me for saying that, maybe even 350. I think it is really cool to see them running out there and wearing out those tires. But nonetheless, it because of the strategy, but nonetheless, I do think it's a very boring race to watch. I had it on the whole time. I had it on my phone. It was in my hands most of the time, but I was talking. I was hanging out with friends, not really necessarily paying too much attention to the race. Hence the fact why we've only got half a page of notes on this race versus most of these races. If you look at my notes and you've ever seen my other videos, you'll know I typically do 3/4 to a whole page of notes. I nitpick all the little details that I find to be interesting or something to jump out at me for you guys. But this video, I did not. It just couldn't hold my attention today, and I'm sorry. I failed you guys. No, but anyways, so my takeaway from the race also, beginning of the race, they did before 2 cool down laps, by half warm up laps, sorry, pace laps. NASCAR stopped the field on the front stretch, kind of show solidarity with what's going on in the world right now and what's going on in America right now. So definitely a cool thing to see NASCAR do. To show their support. Bubba Wallace wore a I Can't Breathe t-shirt. So regardless of where you stand on that, it's really cool to see that NASCAR does support that. It's really cool to see that the only, well, I can't say the only anymore, you got Indy, but one of the only sports out there in the world is showing solidarity and is showing support. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I do really appreciate it if you did watch the whole video. It means a lot to me. Anyway, sorry I keep saying anyways. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I am going to do another video. I am taking my notes, here, writing notes down here. That's the other half of the page. My next video that is not a review video like this one is going to be some of the changes that I feel NASCAR needs to implement. So with that being said, thank you guys. Look out for that video. When I do post it, it will probably be up here somewhere, maybe over here. But please like, subscribe, and as always, thank you for watching, guys. Have a great rest of your night.